We're here today. The subject is the Lyndhurst Depot, and this is another segment of Backroads of Augusta County with Lynn Coffey. Lynn, good morning.
Good morning, Nancy.
Tell me a little bit about the Lyndhurst Depot.
All right, it was part of the Shenandoah Valley Railroad back in the 1800s, and they started building the tracks from Hagerstown, Maryland, ultimately to Roanoke, Virginia. I think they started 1870, and it took them till 1882 to get the tracks. And the first postmaster was a Thomas Ziegler, and he was instated or reinstated for in October of 1883. He became the first postmaster, and we've had a number of them since then. The one that was here the longest was a man by the name of Gordon Patterson, and he served for almost 25 years, from 1952 until 1976 when he retired. And Pat was he was just a consummate postmaster and man. He started out as a telegraph operator and would walk the 9 miles from his house in Shenandoah here every day to do the telegraph operator. And he always made me laugh, and I asked him how hard was it to learn it, and he said, well, he learned on the biblical method. And I asked him what the biblical method was, and he said, it's called seek and you shall find. So he learned the telegraph, which is like Morse code, and he was just, the children, the school children were afraid to cross the tracks, and when he was postmaster, he would take them by the hand and walk them across the tracks, the intersection, to catch the bus. And he had some hard things to deliver in addition to everything else. Excuse me. He had to deliver telegrams of soldiers that were lost during the World Wars, and had to take those letters to the families. But it has a very rich history from the 1800s, and the Shenandoah Valley Railroad went out of business. It went bankrupt in 1890, and so it became part of the Norfolk and Western Railroad after that. And now it is part of Norfolk and Southern Railroad. Now it is in 76, a new post office was made, maybe less than a quarter of a mile up the road, and this became an abandoned building, and Max Quillen owned it, and it was filled with all kind of debris. And there was a man by the name of Max Reinhardt, who went to pharmacy school in Richmond and met his wife Sylvia there. But Max was of a Jewish lineage, and he was born in 1931, and his dad began to see in Germany that they needed to get out, that things were not doing well in Germany for the Jewish people. And they left and came to New York City. It was he and his mother and an uncle and his sister, and they came in 1937. And all of his family in Germany were rounded up and sent to the concentration camps, and everyone was destroyed. Everybody in his whole family was killed by Hitler. But he came and went to MCV College and for pharmacy school, and he met a lady by the name of Sylvia. They ultimately got married, but before they did, Sylvia is an artist. You can see there's so many different things that she's done art-wise here. And in 1985, she approached Max Quillen about buying the old abandoned building. And so Max thought she had lost her mind because it was filled with old bags of fertilizer. It was in pretty rough condition. But they restored it, and then they kept a lot of the things inside. Like in their kitchen, they have a cubby where they put different things, and it's the old mailboxes for that Gordon put the mail in. It's a beautiful place, and they had their wedding. They got married in Stanton, and then drove an antique car here and invited everybody. And it has a deck on the back also. It goes all the way around. And they had dancing and a band, and I asked Max how long they stayed, and he said, until the mosquitoes came out, and then they left. When I interviewed them for the last book, the Crazy Quilt book, they were very, very generous, and hospitality just, oh, they were just so hospitable. And invited me in, and I took a lot of pictures, and you're going to see those early pictures, and then what they have done with the depot as their private home in the article that's coming up. And when I finished the article, a train came through right at the end, and I asked Sylvia, does that bother you, the noise? And she said, we've lived here so long. She said, we don't even hear the train anymore.
Well, that's wonderful. Thanks a lot, and that makes us all want to go out and read your article about Lyndhurst and its train depot, well over a century old. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you, Nancy.